Weird, right? Today we're going to talk about weird. Weird is okay. So these last two stories have been pretty serious, but fiction obviously doesn't have to be serious. And here's an example of fiction that's anything but serious. So I have stickers on the front. I got this used at the library years ago. This is by Louis Sachar. That's how you say his name. He also wrote Holes and a bunch of other good books. But my favorite is Sideways Stories from Wayside School. It's just wacky. So if you haven't read this book, I'm sorry, first of all. It's about a school where the people building it were supposed to build it 30 rooms wide by 1 story tall, but they had the plans sideways, so they built it 1 classroom wide by 30 stories tall. It's crazy. I'm going to read you a chapter called Jason. It's chapter 12. So we're jumping ahead. It's just ridiculous. So you could use this, any of the things we talked about, thinking about your imagination, thinking about interesting characters, thinking about using the dialogue or the exact things that the characters say to show something about their personality. Boy, will it do that. Just look at that picture, first of all. Jason. Jason had a small face and a big mouth. He had the second biggest mouth in Mrs. Jules's class, and there were an awful lot of big mouths in that class. Mrs. Jules, Jason called without raising his hand, Joy is chewing gum in class. Joy had the biggest mouth in Mrs. Jules's class, and it was filled with gum. There was hardly even room for her tongue. Joy, I'm ashamed of you, said Mrs. Jules. I'm afraid I'll have to put your name up on the board. That's okay, Mrs. Jules, said Jason. I'll do it. Jason hopped out of his seat and wrote Joy's name on the blackboard under the word discipline. While he was up, Joy took the glob of gum out of her mouth and placed it on Jason's chair. Rondi and Allison giggled. Jason walked back from the blackboard to his desk and sat down. Mrs. Jules, he called, I'm stuck. Rondi and Allison giggled again. Mrs. Jules got angry. Joy, you're going home on the kindergarten bus today. Oh, good, said Todd. I'll have some company. Todd went home on the kindergarten bus every day. He could never seem to make it to 12 o'clock without getting into trouble 3 times. His name wasn't even up on the blackboard yet he knew that by 12 o'clock it would be, checked and circled. Mrs. Jules, what am I going to do? I'm stuck. I'm going to have to stay here the rest of my life, said Jason. Joy, tell Jason you're sorry, said Mrs. Jules. I'm sorry, Jason, said Joy. Oh, that's okay, Joy, said Jason. I don't mind. Try to get up, Jason, said Mrs. Jules. Jason tried. I can't, Mrs. Jules. I'm stuck. Mrs. Jules asked the 3 Erics to help: Eric Fry, Eric Ovens, and Eric Bacon. Eric Fry and Eric Ovens pulled Jason, and Eric Bacon held the chair. Stop, cried Jason. You'll rip my pants. Rondi and Allison giggled. All right, said Mrs. Jules. Let's try ice water. That should freeze the gum and make it less sticky. I'll go get some from Miss Mush. Miss Mush was the lunch teacher at Wayside School. She had the remarkable ability to undercook a dish and overcook it at the same time. Her specialty was a nice hot bowl of mud. She called it porridge. Jason looked at Rondi and Allison. No, Mrs. Jules, he said, don't leave me. Besides, Miss Mush's ice water is probably warm. Don't be silly, Jason, said Mrs. Jules. I'm sure it will at least be as cold as her soups. Rondi and Allison leered at Jason. No, Mrs. Jules, don't go, begged Jason. I'll be right back, Jason, said Mrs. Jules, and she went to Miss Mush for some ice water. As soon as Mrs. Jules stepped out the door, Rondi and Allison jumped up from their seats and started to tickle Jason. He laughed until his hair turned purple. The girls got back to their seats just as Mrs. Jules returned. Mrs. Jules carried a big bucket of ice-cold water. Oh, no, please, no, Jason pleaded. We have no choice, said Mrs. Jules, and she threw the water all over him. Well, said Mrs. Jules, try to get up. Jason was drenched. I'm wet, I'm cold, and I'm still stuck. Oh, well, it didn't work, said Mrs. Jules. At least we tried. Now I guess we'll have to cut your pants off. Rondi and Allison giggled. No, Mrs. Jules, no, Jason screamed. I don't mind being stuck here. I'm really very comfortable. Don't be silly, Jason, said Mrs. Jules. Don't cut off my pants, said Jason. The three Erics can carry you to the bathroom, said Mrs. Jules. I will ask Louis to call your mother. She can bring you a new pair of pants. The three Erics took hold of Jason's chair and turned him upside down. No, Mrs. Jules, said Jason. Now I'll always have a place to sit down. I won't have to worry about finding a seat on the bus. The three Erics began to take him away. Wait, said Joy. Mrs. Jules, if I can get Jason unstuck, do I still have to go home on the kindergarten bus? All right, said Mrs. Jules. If you can somehow get Jason free, you don't have to go home early. Don't trust her, Mrs. Jules, said Jason. He was still hanging upside down. I'll kiss him, said Joy. No, Jason screamed. Don't let her kiss me, Mrs. Jules. Throw water on me, tickle me, cut off my pants, hang me upside down from the ceiling. Don't let her kiss me. I'll just kiss him on the nose, said Joy. Oh, we've got nothing to lose, Jason, said Mrs. Jules. Ooh, who would want to kiss Jason, said Allison. Jason hung helplessly upside down. Joy stepped up and kissed him on the nose. Jason fell out of the chair and hit his head on the floor. Rondi and Allison giggled. Darn, said Todd. Now I'll have to go home alone again. And Joy erased her name from the blackboard. So as you can see, fiction can be pretty silly and funny. So today your challenge is make it weird. It's still good if it is logical, but add some strange things, add some unusual or illogical or just wacky things. Make it fun. Remember, when you write, it's for an audience. And think about, what do you want the audience to feel? Do you want them to laugh? Do you want them to cry? Do you want them to beg for more? Have fun writing. We'll see you next time.